If you visit Madrid, one of the things I recommend is walking through the city center at night. So today, on Dream Takeoff, we'll visit the Puerta del Sol in Madrid shortly after dusk when most people have left. And look, the police are coming to protect us. Madrid is one of the safest cities in the world. Maybe not as much as those in East Asia. But anyway, I recommend being careful. Just because the city is safe doesn't mean we should be careless. Although Madrid has a very intense nightlife almost all year round, in winter and on weekdays, there always comes a time when the activity starts to wane and people return to their homes or hotels. So we'll take advantage of the solitude of the night to enjoy the Puerta del Sol, one of the most iconic squares in Madrid, which is probably characterized by the three elements we see on screen. Nearby, we can see the statue of the bear and the madroño tree, a symbol that is on the city's coat of arms. On the right is the Tío Pepe sign, and in the background is the clock tower that is on the Royal Post Office building, and which chimes in the new year, marking the change of year for Spaniards. It is so important that the chimes are part of a show that has been televised nationally since 1962, and even the Spanish group Mecano dedicated a song to it. This glass building that looks like two vaults in half is known as the Whale. In the background, we can see the building of the old Hotel Paris, where the Tío Pepe sign was originally located, which has been the protagonist of the place since 1920. Instead of being eliminated, it was moved to another building. These ultra-stylized booths replace the old kiosks, and now you can buy souvenirs, magazines, or lottery tickets in them. We can also see the old Hotel Paris building, which now has a very large Apple store. On its left, the street of Alcalá begins, which leads to the Cibeles fountain, and on its right, the Carrera de San Jerónimo leads to the Neptune fountain. The kiosks have reinvented themselves. Although their height blocks the view of the square a bit, their style is quite consistent with the Whale, which is nothing more than the entrance to the metro and commuter train station called Estación Sol. The Puerta del Sol is important because since 1950, it has been the kilometer zero of the country's 6 radial roads. It is also, at least for now, the center of everything historical, commercial, and tourist in Madrid. It is also the meeting place for Spaniards for important events, and also for tourists. As I am a clueless person and not a football fan, I went out to tour the city on the night of July 13th, 2014, when the World Cup final in Brazil ended. So I saw firsthand hundreds of Argentinian people dissolving into the side streets of the Puerta del Sol in silence and embittered. At the same time, the Germans stayed discreetly celebrating their team winning the World Cup against Argentina. In general, whenever something important happens, it can be experienced here. But I tell you that anecdote only because everyone was wearing their team's shirts, and it was easier for me to figure out what had happened. On that side street, that red sign indicates one of the stores of El Corte Inglés, the Spanish department store chain. El Corte Inglés stores are all over Spain, and they have almost everything, although they are not cheap. Also, this store has a supermarket chain in its basement. But if you have little money, avoid it. There are cheaper chains like Dia, Mercadona, or Carrefour. And here, almost in the center, we can see the statue of King Charles III, which, since I know Madrid, has always been in the square, but not always in this place. The last remodeling of the square changed its place, eliminated 2 fountains, and put a single fountain at its base. It is quite beautiful and modern, and has this play of lights. Towards the back, you see the Tío Pepe sign, the only survivor of all the signs that previously populated the Puerta del Sol. On its left side is the famous Preciado Street, which leads to the Plaza del Callao and the Gran Via, Madrid's main commercial street. The building next door is another of the stores of El Corte Inglés, which I think is now dedicated to sportswear. But I wanted to show you this small sculpture, the Mari Blanca, which is a survivor. As I told you, the last remodeling eliminated 2 fountains, but long before, in 1838, they also eliminated the fountain of the Mare Blanca that was crowned by this sculpture and had been in this place for 208 years. On this side, we see another of the kiosks remodeled in the Puerta del Sol and another of the entrances to the metro at the Sol station. On the right side of this building, where the Pasteleria La Mallorquina is located, we see the beginning of El Arenal Street, which has a sinuous shape because many years ago it was a stream, and that, in the end, takes us to the San Ginés chocolate shop, which is a typical stop in the city. A little further on to the Teatro Real de la Ópera, and further on to the Royal Palace itself. But we will continue along the next street, Calle Mayor, which leads to the Plaza Mayor, the San Miguel Market, and the Almudena Cathedral. But we will see that in the next video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next destination here on Dream Takeoff.